Special Fondness. Chapter 9. Near the middle of the day, Fang Su and Tang Qiaoyuan strolled down to a lively big street. It just happened to be lunchtime and every establishment and restaurant were welcoming people to go in where there was an endless stream of customers. Fang Su didn't wake up too early this morning. After last night's lovemaking, he was only able to lay on the bed for a while. In addition, he took his breakfast later than usual. Only more than a shishan has passed since then. His appetite was originally small. Tang Qiaoyuan didn't know if he was hungry or not. He looked at a restaurant near them and asked, "Does Su feel hungry?" After asking, he did not receive a reply. Tang Qiaoyuan raised his eyebrows and looked at him with uncertainty, only to see Fang Su looking at a sewing shop on the side of the street, listening to a young couple talking. He seemed to be absorbed in their conversation and seemed to have forgotten where he was. Tang Qiaoyuan found it interesting. He also raised his eyes with a bit of curiosity. After listening to a few sentences, it turned out that it was indeed really quite interesting. The young man was picking a purse at the counter while the girl next to him repeatedly persuaded him to go, but that man refused to listen to her as he spoke with uncomprehending tone. "My purse was stolen by someone yesterday. If I don't buy a new one, what should I use?" The girl glanced at him helplessly and said, "I will just make a new one for you. Why would you bother to do it?" The young man grinned and turned his head to continue to pick one again. "There are so many ready-made ones here. You can buy one with 10 or so copper coins, so why waste so much effort?" The girl got so angry that she became speechless. She raised her hand and knocked on the back of his head as she scolded, "Stubborn block of wood." Then she turned and ran away, leaving the man alone who was feeling stupidly aggrieved. Tang Qiaoyuan immediately became amused. He let out a pff and nodded in agreement. Indeed, a real piece of wood block. After speaking, Fang Su turned his head back, looking as if he saw enough excitement and returned to his senses only then. Fang Su's eyes carried some puzzlement. He didn't quite understand what went on. Seeing that Tang Qiaoyuan understood, he couldn't help but ask, "Why did that girl got angry?" Tang Qiaoyuan was speechless. He just said that someone else was a wood block, but it turned out that the person next to him was also a piece of wood. He had watched them for a long time, yet he did not understand anything. Tang Qiaoyuan replied, "That girl wanted to sew one herself for him." Fang Su, who seemed to understand yet not really understood, nodded his head and asked, "Is it better if it's handmade?" Tang Qiaoyuan immediately let out a laugh. "Silly Su." He was very amused as he pinched Fang Su's earlobe and explained to him carefully, "It's not because a handmade one is sewn better, but rather she wanted to make a purse for her beau. Seeing him carry something that she handmade herself make it seems as if she was constantly keeping him company, and it will also make him think about her all the time." Fang Su finally understood clearly. He nodded with a red face, then he took another look at that shop as if he had a thought. Tang Qiaoyuan was not suspecting anything. He just thought that he was embarrassed, so he no longer asked him if he was hungry or not, and took him straight to a restaurant. The hall was spacious. Fang Su never entered a restaurant that big. He felt a bit uneasy, but the shopkeeper was very enthusiastic as he thoughtfully and respectfully invited them into a secluded and elegant private room. A wooden door blocked the noise outside. Fang Su felt more comfortable. He relaxed and watched Tang Qiaoyuan order dishes with familiarity. He heard him order a few dishes names that he didn't know, then he hurriedly pulled on his sleeve. He shook his head and said, "That's enough." Tang Qiaoyuan thought about it, then ordered a few more dishes and told the shopkeeper, "Reduce each dish's quantity to be just enough for 2 people to eat." The shopkeeper complied and left. Fang Su was quite surprised. He was thinking that so many dishes were ordered, but they had to make it enough just for 2 people, then what would each dish look like to be suitable? Won't it be too troublesome for them? There really was a shop in the world that was willing to comply with an unreasonable request like that. Tang Qiaoyuan chuckled while looking at him and listening to him speak out his thoughts, but did not explain anything to him and only replied with some nonsense, that shopkeeper is afraid of me. He would not dare to not comply, else I would smash his shop. Thus, others cannot do that, but I can. Fang Su thought he was being serious as a lot of wrongs surfaced in his heart. After holding back for a while, he let out an, "It isn't good." Tang Qiaoyuan leaned back on his chair and laughed out loud. Fang Su couldn't see that he was joking with him. He felt uneasy in his heart and felt sorry for the shopkeeper. He kept pondering how he should dissuade Tang Qiaoyuan. But even after having their lunch, his efforts were fruitless. On the other hand, Tang Qiaoyuan, who was given an inch, was now wanting to take a mile. He became overbearing and refused to give money after eating, and took him to walk out of the building. The tea shop owner, who was used to it, did not stop them and sent them out respectfully. Fang Su walked out with him in embarrassment. In the end, he couldn't endure it any longer and held Tang Qiaoyuan back to remind him, "Qiaoyuan, we have not paid, have we?" "Indeed." Tang Qiaoyuan admitted openly, "I always dine and dash. If this shopkeeper dares to ask me for some silver, then I will." "You will just smash his restaurant." Fang Su frowned as he repeated Tang Qiaoyuan's words. Tang Qiaoyuan nodded solemnly and saw Fang Su's expression becoming so complicated that he didn't even know where to start. He looked at him amusedly for a while until he could no longer talk any more nonsense. This could be considered as letting Fang Su off. He raised his chin with a smile and motioned for him to take a look at the plaque on the restaurant. Fang Su looked back. These two characters were easy enough to recognize. The characters for Tang Zhuang was written in black ink and gold. "Are you relieved now?" Fang Su blinked in surprise and thought about it. No wonder he felt familiar with the taste of each delicacy during the meal earlier. It was probably because Tang Qiaoyuan had called for some of these good dishes to be brought back to the mansion so he could taste them. "Qiaoyuan," Fang Su called as he stared at these two characters. Tang Qiaoyuan thought that he wanted to confirm something and ask whether this restaurant was owned by the Tang family, but unexpectedly, what came to his ears was, "They called you master. Is it because of this Tang Zhuang restaurant?" Tang Qiaoyuan suddenly felt that he can't laugh enough and felt extremely happy about today's outing. He assessed in his mind how he could explain clearly. However, after thinking for a while, he thought that it was not too bad to let Fang Su think so. After all, Fang Su was pure and innocent. If he told him the truth, he would be even more confused. It's hard to tell him that he, Tang Qiaoyuan, owned all the gambling houses in Linzhou City, as well as a few brothels along the street of Huaji. Although he didn't compel girls from good families to engage in prostitution, these types of things are still not very clean. From one establishment to another, they all seemed to be somehow connected, thus, forming a dark village of wicked individuals under Linzhou City. This was the real reason why those people call him Master Tang. Tang Qiaoyuan refused to let Fang Su know about the sordid details, so he just nodded his head and answered yes. Fang Su suddenly displayed an expression of enlightenment. His worries had disappeared and he now showed a relaxed smile. They both stopped strolling any further and returned to the road they were originally walking along. Back at the residence, the summer sunlight shone blindingly. Tang Qiaoyuan happened to be resting in the shade under a tree. Meanwhile, Fang Su was full of spirit. He walked around the courtyard looking for people. When he saw Bai Ping, he walked up to her to talk. Since they stood too far from where he was, Tang Qiaoyuan didn't know what they were talking about and looked on with half-lidded eyes and a smile. After a while, he saw Bai Ping bring a sewing kit and some brocade materials, then Fang Su entered the room. Tang Qiaoyuan only slept for about half an hour. After waking up, he looked around but the familiar figure was no longer in the courtyard. He was probably still inside the room and had not come out since then. Now that he had slept enough, he was more clear-headed. He stood up from the soft couch right away with a mind filled with interest and headed towards the room curiously. Sure enough, his wife was sitting on a couch located by the window against the wall. There was a small basket with sewing materials inside that was placed beside him. In his hands, there was a small purse that had been carefully sewn. Although his posture was certainly not as delicate as that of a daughter from a household, his technique was quite flexible and familiar. Fang Su heard some footsteps and raised his head. As he had just finished putting in the final stitches, he took the scissors and cut the end carefully, then reached out to hand over the purse to the person who just entered. Tang Qiaoyuan couldn't point out exactly what he was experiencing at that moment. He felt quite smug as curled his lips and approached. Then he lowered his head and kissed Fang Su between his eyebrows. He took the small purse and for a while he would just look at it so lovingly that he could hardly put it down. Afterwards, he immediately untied the more exquisite one from his waist and replaced it with this one. Then he asked with a smile, "I only slept for a short while and you've already finished it." And Fang Su nodded. "When I was little, I saw my mother make a lot of them. I've learned to make them after watching her for a while. After that, in order to subsidize to the family, I kept making some small things. It doesn't take too much effort to sew something." Tang Qiaoyuan loved it. He usually wears expensive things. The purse that he was carrying was something brought from Jiangnan. It was made by a famous local embroiderer using a rare brocade material. Such brocade was hard to find even if one has the money. He also thought that it was a good purse, but who knew that now compared to this, it wasn't a big deal anymore. He thought that the most precious purse in the world was the one that Fang Su has sewn for him. Does Su knows how to embroider? Tang Qiaoyuan lowered his head to play with it for a while, thinking that if the character Yuan could be embroidered on top of it, then it would make it infinitely precious. Fang Su was hesitated as his gaze swept on the other purse that has been thrown away. The embroidered peach blossoms on it were lifelike and the stitches were exquisite. It was the most meticulous thing he had ever seen. He spoke quite hesitantly, "I know how to, but I'm not very good at it. My embroidery isn't as good as my mother's." "I'd like it." Tang Qiaoyuan grabbed his dexterous hands and kissed them a few times before he continued, "If you would embroider a Yuan character on one side and the character Su on the other side. I will carry it everywhere, so the people who know that I am married can see it and be envious." Fang Su heard the sentence "carry it everywhere," and felt extremely content. He curved his eyes and nodded as he gently took his fingers back. End chapter. Special Fondness. Chapter 10. Recently, during one of his spare times, Tang Qiaoyuan's calm temperament had been tested again. He thought about it again and again, and in the end, he decided that it was better to not rush to tell Fang Su about the gambling houses. Fang Su was only 19 now. It wouldn't do any harm to wait for another year or so until he came of age. Everything could then be slowly explained to him. But things never went as one planned. The more Tang Qiaoyuan wanted to hide it, the easier it was to make a mistake. After enjoying peaceful days for less than a month, uninvited guests came knocking at their door. It was said that a greedy person was like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. Tang Qiaoyuan have read this line so many times in books before, but no one dared to play such a trick in front of him. After living for more than 20 years, he finally met two such individuals. It was morning when the sky was shining brightly. Fang Su have not woken up yet and was still wrapped in a thin quilt, sleeping very soundly on the bed. Tang Qiaoyuan sat at the table while sipping his tea. The bed curtains were raised high, so he could see Fang Su's sleeping appearance just by leaning his head, putting him in a very good mood. Footsteps came from the corridor. The individual must have known that Fang Su was still asleep and thus never opened their mouth to make a noise and only knocked lightly on the window twice. Tang Qiaoyuan glanced sideways, put down the teacup, got up and went to the bed to let down the bed curtain in order to conceal the person inside. Once he got to the porch outside the room, Bai Ping was already there waiting for him. After greeting him faintly, she whispered, "Master, there's a woman and a 10-year-old child waiting outside the residence." She only uttered a half-sentence which was unlike her. Tang Qiaoyuan immediately knew that they were not ordinary guests, so he turned his head to look inside the room and asked, "Is it related to Madam?" Bai Ping nodded, "Yes, the visitor claims to be Madame's mother. Tang Jiaoyuan understood right away. He smoothly closed the room's door entirely and walked out of the courtyard. Bai Ping followed him quietly from behind, and listened to him readily ask without really asking, "Hasn't Su's mother passed away many years ago?" Bai Ping did not answer, but she knew that things were definitely going to be interesting. The two visitors were invited to come into the front hall. The woman had a beaming smile on her face and politely placed the small basket in her hands on the table. It was filled with various things. Tang Jiaoyuan waved his hand for his servant to pour the tea. His gaze landed on the basket. The red cloth did not cover the things that were inside it completely, revealing a half-cut sweet potato. He raised his chin to that spot and asked with a smile as to what it was. The woman's look became more and more brilliant as she pushed the basket closer to him by 2 inches. "Master Tang, these are some goods that were grown on our field. Since Fang Su has left our home, his father has always been concerned about him, and he always wanted me to bring some sweet potatoes. He always loved to eat these when he was home. Could it be that I was being thoughtless?" Tang Jiaoyuan raised his eyebrows while nodding and smiling at her politely. "And here I thought that Su only liked to eat exotic food that came from the land and sea, as well as the 4 seafood delicacies." The woman's smile became slightly stiff, as jealousy flashed by her eyes. She then laughed with him again and assumed her original pretense as a loving mother, but suddenly the child beside her pulled on her clothes and asked, "Mother, what are the 4 seafood delicacies?" The child pouted angrily. Although he didn't dare to throw a temper tantrum in this place, he was used to being domineering at home and couldn't hold back a word of complaint. "I have not even eaten it, but brother already has." The woman panicked and hurriedly she covered the child's mouth and glared at him with her head down. Tang Jiaoyuan chuckled and turned a deaf ear. He still talked with her about the basket of sweet potatoes. "Then, what do you want to get back from the Tang household with this basket of things?" The explicit question made the woman look embarrassed. How could she not notice the contempt and disgust of the man in front of her? But she had already come here, how can she just go back empty-handed? Thus, she braced herself to go on with it and pretended to feel embarrassed and brazenly asked, "Master Tang, Fang Su is our family's eldest son. His father originally expected him to pass on the incense, but now as a man, he has married into the Tang household. This..." Without finishing her words, she waited for Tang Jiaoyuan to read between the lines. Yesterday, the patriarch of the Fang family took his youngest child with him to the city to sell vegetables while she remained at the village. How was she to know that Fang Jiang would ran home alone before noon to tell her exaggeratedly what he had seen with his own eyes? The child spoke enviously with his eyes wide open as he related how his elder brother wore very nice clothes. Beside him, there was a very wealthy-looking man who was talking and laughing with him, and was very considerate towards him. Fang Su's stepmother was originally a very mean and jealous person, so how could she remain calm after hearing this? She thought about it for several days, and couldn't sleep well at night. She hated and envied Fang Su for not only not suffering any injustice but also enjoying a better fortune than her. The more she thought about it, the angrier she felt. The only way was for her to come to this place and ask for some benefits, thus this morning she couldn't hold on any longer and brought her son along with her to their door. Tang Jiaoyuan understood it clearly and knew that they just wanted him to give them some money and they would go happily. But he was not a charitable person. Moreover, he was very clear on how harsh the woman before him treated Fang Su. As such, his smile gradually disappeared. "Do you think it would be so easy?" Tang Jiaoyuan sneered, "No one in Linzhou city has ever dared to bargain with me, but what you said was not unreasonable. Fang Su is indeed the Fang family's eldest son. In this case, it would be better for me to show some mercy and send him back. As for the debt that the Fang family owes me, how about offering this little child in exchange? I could raise him for a few years. He won't be having abalones, sea cucumber, shark's fin, and fish maw, but he will not lack in sweet potatoes porridge. Once he's old enough, he will be sent to the Golan yard. But he will definitely be released from the brothel once the debt has been fully paid off." The woman's eyes showed her panic when she heard that. She couldn't keep her shameless face any longer and quickly hugged the child in her arms. Tang Jiaoyuan had spoken very solemnly. Beside him Bai Ping quietly raised her hands to cover her pleased smile, but her snickering appearance had been caught on. Bai Ping met his gaze and had no choice but to agree, "Master is correct, sweet potatoes are indeed better. If we raise him with abalones, sea cucumber, shark's fin, and fish maw for several years, would the debt just grow more?" "No," the woman couldn't help but scream for an instant as she shivered all over. It was too late for her to regret it. She looked at Tang Jiaoyuan's gloomy eyes and hugged her child even tighter as her whole body started to tremble. Now, she didn't even dare to have the idea of taking advantage, she just wanted to flee from this place immediately. "Master Tang, you need not overthink. This time I came only to see whether Fang Su has been well or not, then I will just take the child back without disturbing your peace and tranquility." She turned around to escape as soon as her words fell. There were many words Fang Jiang couldn't understand, but he could faintly feel from the atmosphere that something was wrong. Thus, he held onto his mother's sleeve tightly and followed each of her steps. The woman took him to the hall door and hurriedly tried to cross the threshold but was stopped by some servants who were waiting outside. Those few people were all arranged by Bai Ping. Their faces were fierce and scared the woman so much that she fell backward and didn't dare to move any more. "How does Master plan to deal with this?" Bai Ping saw enough of this play and walked forward from behind Tang Jiaoyuan's back and inquired. Tang Jiaoyuan had no idea yet. He felt that it was soon time for Fang Su to wake up. The smile in his eyes turned gentle again. He only wanted to return to the main courtyard to accompany him, so he replied casually, "Look for a place to lock them up. This small storm couldn't stir up waves." Tang Jiaoyuan turned around and left this matter behind. He returned to the courtyard to tease Fang Su, who had just woken up, only having eyes for his confused expression. Fang Su hadn't fully woken up. He would usually lay on the bed for some while, but today he opened his eyes and didn't see the person who is generally by his side. He felt quite uneasy and got up from the bed to look for him while still wearing his inner garments. The footsteps outside the room approached along the corridor. Tang Jiaoyuan pushed open the door and walked inside. He pulled the beaded curtain and saw the person looking at him. There was some aggravation in his not-so-sober eyes, and also some panic. Tang Jiaoyuan's heart immediately softened. He took a few steps forward and took him into his arms to coax him. "Is Su already awake?" Fang Su nodded. He hasn't drank water yet, so his throat was dry. It made him reluctant to speak. He slowly returned the hug as his heartbeat gradually slowed down. Tang Jiaoyuan carried him back to the bed. He brought back some clothes and dressed him neatly, touching his bare feet before putting on the socks for him, and said with distressed tone, "Do you think summer is hot throughout? It's cold in the morning, running around while being dressed like that, your feet are already frozen." Fang Su couldn't help but speak with his voice slightly hoarse, "Jiaoyuan, where did you go?" Tang Jiaoyuan was reminded about Fang Su's affair. He smiled carelessly and said, "I went to see some sweet potatoes." Fang Su heard that and was very confused. Tang Jiaoyuan asked again, "Does Su like to eat sweet potatoes?" And Fang Su nodded. "I used to often eat sweet potatoes. It's sweet and can easily fill the stomach." Tang Jiaoyuan chuckled lowly as he used his palms to warm up Fang Su's feet. Curiosity could be heard in his voice as he asked, "You always eat it and you still like it? Aren't you tired of it?" "No. You can cook in different ways. It can be in a porridge or you can roast it. You can also mash it. Is it that good?" Tang Jiaoyuan's gaze became soft as he leaned over to kiss the corner of his eyes. "Then how about we roast sweet potatoes in the courtyard today?" Fang Su lightly chuckled and nodded. Tang Jiaoyuan's palms were especially warm, which made his feet warm up very quickly. Fang Su put on his socks and shoes and went to freshen up. After finishing his breakfast, he followed Tang Jiaoyuan to the courtyard. The sweet potatoes and charcoal stove were ready. Although doing this during summertime was a bit out of season, Fang Sui found the little stove quite cute and really liked it. He moved the small stool and sat nearby, making his cheeks red and hot. Tang Jiaoyuan brushed his hair up for him, and immediately leaned over to carry him away. Fang Sui was slightly surprised. He quickly grabbed onto his shoulders as he heard Tang Jiaoyuan laugh while carrying him away to the porch and teased, "Are we going to eat roasted sweet potatoes or roasted susu?" Fang Sui was stunned. Then understood his words and smiled happily with his eyes curved. The atmosphere in the courtyard became ambiguous, but after a while, a maidservant ran over and anxiously reported to Tang Jiaoyuan. "Master, there is someone kowtowing outside the mansion. We can't drive him away." Tang Jiaoyuan was thinking how they were being disturbed again, then he heard the ignorant maidservant continued, "That person said he is called Fang Di, he came to kowtow in apology." Tang Jiaoyuan's face went dark, looking angrily at this dull-headed and tactless maidservant, while the person beside him who was originally smiling very happily became instantly pale. End chapter. Special Fondness. Chapter 11. Fang Sui seemed to find it unbelievable. He pondered for a long time about these two characters, thinking about the name Fang De absent-mindedly. The maidservant who came to deliver the message was so stunned by Tang Jiaoyuan's glare that she knelt down. Fang Sui saw her expression and knew in his heart that this matter had something to do with him. He raised his head, and asked hesitantly, "Is it my father?" Tang Jiaoyuan did not answer and looked at him. Nodding wasn't a good answer, but nor was shaking his head. He hadn't thought on how he should answer when he heard Fang Sui asked again, "My father, why would he come here to kowtow in apology? He is indebted again, is that it?" Tang Jiaoyuan sighed. He couldn't trick him thoroughly, nor can he now hide it. In order to not worry him, he could only be honest with him. "No." Tang Jiaoyuan took Fang Sui in his arms and said, "I detained people in the mansion." Fang Sui did not understand. He looked up at Tang Jiaoyuan in silence while thinking what could he possibly meant by those words. After a while, he seemed to have guessed something. Fang Sui was actually smart. It's just that he was a simple person and not one to think about complicated things. Now that he heard Tang Jiaoyuan said this, and after careful thinking, Fang Sui remembered that Tang Jiaoyuan wasn't in their room early in the morning. His stepmother's face came to his mind and his heart turned so cold that his complexion slightly changed. Tang Jiaoyuan noticed the changes in him and held him a little tighter. His intuition told him that what he was going to tell him today won't be a simple answer to a question. After thinking about it, Tang Jiaoyuan's heart settled down as he asked in a low and gentle voice, "Would Susu go with me, or would you rather wait for my return in the courtyard?" "I am going with you." Fang Sui did not hesitate. The mansion's gate was half open as a person outside the threshold kept kowtowing for a long time, causing some dark purple bruises to faintly appear in the middle of his forehead. Tang Jiaoyuan could hear Fang De's cries of grievances from afar. After his figure came in Fang De's line of sight, that voice suddenly rose a bit more, begging and yelling, "Master Tang!" Tang Jiaoyuan was not in the mood to hide it from Fang Sui anymore, but he still made some calculations in his heart. He raised his hand to stop him. Tang Jiaoyuan leaned to kiss Fang Sui's earlobe and whispered, "Wait here for me." Fang Sui did as he was told and stopped walking forward and just looked beyond the gate from afar. Maybe his current attire made such a huge change that the person outside the gate didn't recognize him from afar, and was only walking towards Tang Jiaoyuan's direction. The man got closer to the threshold but did not dare to enter the mansion rashly. He kept begging him outside, "Master Tang! Master Tang is the bigger person and is magnanimous, please let my ignorant wife and son go." Tang Jiaoyuan walked closer, his gaze falling on the prostrating back, and answered, "The Tang mansion's gate isn't open to just anyone. They dared to walk in breezily, then they should know that it would be hard to walk out of it in the same way." "Master Tang," Fang De kowtowed hard on the threshold and kept begging for mercy, "it's my wife and son who are ignorant." A greater man like you will not make note of a lesser man's faults, please let them go. They both are insignificant to you and consider it as letting two ants go, I promised. I promised that both of them will never appear in front of you again. Tang Jiaoyuan sneered and raised his voice a little on purpose so that whatever he said would be heard clearly. This Tang Jiaoyuan is not some charitable person. To let go of people or not, it's all up to me. You dare to come to beg me, are you not afraid to die? How could Fang De not be afraid? When he heard this, his whole body trembled like a sieve, his complexion couldn't help but turn paler. Even though that was the case, he still gritted his teeth and pleaded, this humble one is afraid, but this humble one couldn't help but come over. Master Tang, they are my wife and son, my most important persons. Without them, it will be no different than losing my life. Oh! Tang Jiaoyuan's tone was extremely disdainful. He thought about Fang Su who was not far behind him. He felt reluctant in his heart but he could not afford not to be harsh and continued, back then when I wanted to take your life to pay off your debts, why did I not see you have this same thought? Could it be that Fang Qiang is your son but Fang Su is not? Beads of sweat dripped from Fang De's forehead as he suddenly became silent. Answer me, is Fang Su your own son or not? Yes, he is, Fang De gritted his teeth with an unreasonable heart, he is my biological child. Master Tang, Fang Su's mother left us too early, I love him dearly, too, but I am a man, who also wants a wife to warm the bed. That's why I married his stepmother. His stepmother gave birth to Jiang. It is difficult for my family to finally become whole again. Even though I love him dearly, he and his stepmother have never been on good terms, I really have no choice. No choice? Is that why you've agreed to give him to me so easily? Is it to live, or just to kill two birds with one stone? Fang De dared not to speak again when he heard his anger and vigorously kowtowed before him. Tang Jiaoyuan was completely disgusted when he looked at his cowardly appearance and wished he could kick him far away, but he was worried about the person behind him, so he decided to restrain himself. Since you are so concerned about those two, then go and have a look, Tang Jiaoyuan said no more to him, and signaled with his head for the two footmen beside the door, take him over there. Two strong men came forward and took the pale Fang De away from the ground. As the sound of begging for mercy faded away, Tang Jiaoyuan turned around and saw that Fang Su didn't move at all, remaining in the same spot. He felt distressed but he did not regret forcing Fang De to say those words. Instead, he thought it was better this way. Fang Su would only be sad temporarily but could now completely cut things off with them. Tang Jiaoyuan approached him. He stretched out his hand to raise his lowered jaw and felt his palm became damp. Tang Jiaoyuan's heart ached as he lowered his head and slowly kissed the tears on Fang Su's face. After a long moment, he explained the whole story to Fang Su in a low voice. A few months ago, I went out of the city to relax and saw you in a forest where people rarely come by. At that time, you were sweeping your mother's grave with such diligence. It seemed that you have never noticed me. Tang Jiaoyuan said as Fang Su slowly raised his eyes to look at him. He curled his lips to reveal a smile, then added with a gentle tone, I just liked you to no end. I didn't know whose family you came from or how could you be so likable, N. Fang Su's long eyelashes trembled slightly but his mood was still not good and waited for what came next with a sense of loss in his eyes. Tang Jiaoyuan sighed lightly. After I returned to the mansion, I ordered people to find out about your personal background. In fact, it would have been easy for me to take you as my own. I could have given your family some money, hired a matchmaker and welcomed you through the door. But I did hire some people to catch your father, threatened him and ordered him to send you to me to pay off his debt. Tang Jiaoyuan was not sure whether such honesty will make Fang Su resent him but could not retract his words anymore and could only kept on revealing everything. There are a few gambling houses under my ownership and your father likes to gamble and would often owe the gambling houses some money. Although he was unable to repay his debt on time, the amount owed was small, and he could have accumulated some money over time, or if he were to have a streak of luck, he eventually would have been able to pay everything back slowly. Up until a few days ago, my men tempted him into losing a huge amount, so much that he won't even be able to repay it for the rest of his life. You should already know what happened afterwards. Fang Su's eyes revealed his surprise and puzzlement. The more he thought about things, the more confused he became. He thought about things too much that he started to have a headache. He could only ask blankly, but why? Tang Qiaoyuan turned his head to kiss him and tasted the salty and bitter taste on his lips. So, he kept on kissing him until his lips became moist and warm. Once it was back to being sweet again, he withdrew a few inches and replied softly, "Because I don't want you to have any kind of involvement with such family again. I can give you everything and make it so that you never have to experience any sad moments ever again. All the good things in this world, I can find them all for you as long as you like them. I want for you to cut off any connection to your past, and for the rest of your life, your important person only needs to be me, as I'm the one you can always rely on." Fang Su was stunned and looked at him dumbfoundedly. His emotions were in turmoil as he found it difficult to speak clearly. "I am not open nor straightforward when I'm doing things. I am not the most upright person, but I sincerely want to love and cherish you. I didn't regret what I have done. I just didn't expect your stepmother to be even more brazen than I had thought. Even though you were sent away to pay off a debt, she still had the nerve to ask for a share of your benefits. This morning, she was the one to take the initiative to come to our door with her son, so I've had her detained in our mansion, and this is the reason your father came to apologize. Now these three individuals are in this Tang mansion. Whether to free them or not, or how to treat them, everything is up to you. As long as you say the words, no matter what the request is, I promise to carry it all out." Fang Su's eyes gradually became frantic. After what he heard Tang Qiaoyuan's offer, he tried to open his mouth to reply, but he didn't quite know what to say. Tang Qiaoyuan was not in a hurry for him to answer. He lowered his forehead, picked him up and walked back to the main courtyard. Back in the room, Tang Qiaoyuan put Fang Su down on the couch and left him alone for quite a while. Tang Qiaoyuan did not say a single word anymore. He just remained in the room but stayed out of Fang Su's sight. He lifted the curtain and went to sit alone in the outer room and waited patiently. Fang Su looked at his figure when he left and recalled every word he said over and over again in the silent room. He didn't know how long he had been contemplating. It was like everything he saw on the day he got married was laid before him. Fang Su remembered Tang Qiaoyuan's gentle smile, the warmth of his hands, every single word and gesture of his that smoothed out the loneliness and fear in his heart. But he had one question on his mind: if Tang Qiaoyuan never liked him and if they have never met in this life, then what would have become of him? Nothing. He would probably continue living the lonely days like he was used to, not getting any attention from anyone at home until he got old. Maybe he would have met someone else, maybe he would have fallen in love and gotten rid of the emptiness of the past. He would live on his days without someone named Tang Qiaoyuan who professed his love for him, who taught him how to read and write, who coaxed him to sleep at night and wait for him to wake up in the morning. There'll be no one who was this considerate right down to the most trivial details at all time. Fang Su's heart gradually calmed down as he thought clearly about various things. He cared about his father not because they were related by blood but because the childhood memories left in his heart. He ultimately wished for his family to care for him. But for a long time, he was only lying to himself. His father had become someone else's father a long time ago. He had long become unnecessary in that home. Because he wasn't liked by his stepmother, he had long become akin to a fishbone stuck on his father's heart. There was no place left for him in that house. But Tang Qiaoyuan gave him a place to belong. He cared and valued him the way he had wished for. In this world, there was only this particular person, such an irreplaceable person. Fang Su's thoughts finally cleared up. He raised his eyes, looked at the silent beaded curtain and a soft smile returned on his face. End chapter. Special Fondness. Chapter 12. Tang Jiaoyuan looked sideways when he heard the sound of footsteps coming from inside the room. He waited until Fang Su appeared before his eyes and to slowly approached him. Tang Jiaoyuan put down the teacup in his hand wherein the tea inside had already gone cold without him taking a single sip of it. He held on to Fang Su's fingers that were hidden within his sleeves. Then he raised his head and waited patiently for him to speak with gentle eyes. Fang Su pursed his lips before calling out, "Jiaoyuan," then he asked, "Will you agree to anything I say no matter what it is?" Tang Jiaoyuan nodded and said, "I will agree to anything." Fang Su's eyes curved as he smiled, "Then can you let them go?" "All right." This person did not even hesitate and readily agreed. He knew that Fang Su still had more to say, so he waited for him to continue. "I don't hate my father." Fang Su shook his head as he spoke very softly, but there was no feelings of loss in his tone as he continued, "I don't hate him, but not because I am kind-hearted, but rather because I was able to think clearly and knew for a fact that whether he has me or not would make no difference. But no matter what happened in the past, he at least gave life to me and raised me. I don't want to owe him anything. I that hope he can safely go back, and from then on, I would no longer be a member of that family. There will be one less burden for them, which may actually be a good thing." Tang Jiaoyuan shook his head and followed up his words, "How can my Su be a burden? Jiaoyuan thinks I am not, but he doesn't necessarily think so." I heard what he had said. I'm not sure whether he was just clinging to life and was scared of death, but for sure, the person he values the most is not me. There is grievance, but there won't be resentment nor feeling of unfairness. If we have to talk about what is fair or not, then the way you're treating me so well is the most unfair thing in this world." Tang Jiaoyuan's throat suddenly felt slightly tight. He paused for a moment, then suddenly encircled Fang Su within his arms and put his forehead on his waist. Fang Su was a little surprised. He always saw Tang Jiaoyuan with a gentle smile and never expected that he would be this affected. After a while, Tang Jiaoyuan laughed out loud, and said with what seemed like sheer happiness, "I was worried you were scared and sad. That's why I have always been unwilling to tell you the truth, and especially unwilling to let you know about the gambling houses. But I can see now that my Su is simply extraordinary and is not the slightest bit afraid of me." Fang Su chuckled and asked, "You treat me the best in this world, how can I be afraid of you?" The man didn't answer any more. He stood up and hugged Fang Su in his arms. After hugging him for a while, he abruptly changed the topic as he said, "The sweet potatoes in the courtyard are probably burnt by now." Fang Su was stunned for a while, then he remembered it and hurriedly wanted to turn around to take a look. Unexpectedly, the man's arm that was wrapped around his waist bound him tightly and firmly. Tang Jiaoyuan took a few steps towards the bedroom while holding Fang Su. With an ambiguous tone, he said with a deep smile, "It is very unfortunate. Well, let's eat Su instead." Fang Su's face became hot. He was swiftly brought inside the bedroom by this man before he could even answer. After hanging down the bed curtain, the light still shone brightly, which made him feel embarrassed. It was clearly still broad daylight, yet Tang Jiaoyuan was absolutely not joking around this time. He reached out his hand to tug at Fang Su's belt. Although Fang Su didn't prevent him from doing so, he still seemed particularly stiff as he thought about what his man was intending to do. After stressing for a while, he slowly raised his hands to hold on to the man's shoulders. Tang Jiaoyuan leaned over and kissed him. Seeing that Fang Su shut his eyes tightly closed as if he wanted to hide himself this way, Tang Jiaoyuan let out a low chuckle as he quietly pulled the soft belt by his hand while his other hand gently lifted the back of Fang Su's head. Using the belt he had just tugged off, he blindfolded Fang Su's eyes. Fang Su was slightly taken aback. Now he wanted to open his eyes but could not do so as they were covered by a soft brocade. The light that his eyes could feel instantly turned dim. Although the shameful feeling lessened, a feeling of nervousness and anticipation came over. His hands on Tang Jiaoyuan's shoulders squeezed unconsciously. In the dark, he felt Tang Jiaoyuan held his palm and slowly pecked it. The warm lips stopped on his fingertips for a moment, then from the fingertips toward his knuckles, leaving a trail of a fine red mark from the wrist to the elbow. Tang Jiaoyuan's kisses lingered as he wanted to continue this trail of kisses, but the white skin in front of him was covered by clothes. With his eyes heavy with lust, he sat up while holding Fang Su. Fang Su wasn't fully seated, so the loose clothes without the belt were suddenly torn off, leaving his upper body almost naked save for the clothing hanging on his elbows. Xiao Yuan, Fang Su couldn't see anything and he called out his name anxiously. Tang Xiao Yuan answered with an ambiguous sound and took off Fang Su's inner pants as his palms stroked the tender flesh of Fang Su's thighs. He stroked them until Fang Su's legs were trembling lightly. He smiled as he spread those thighs while holding his waist and letting him sit on his body. Fang Su's lower body was uncovered. He originally felt cold, but now it was suddenly pressed against a heat source as that thing behind the layer of fabric became more and more enthusiastic. Although he could not see, he still could tell what it was. He slowly relaxed his body as he lowered his head and pressed his face against this person's neck. Tang Jiaoyuan took Fang Su's hand and put it on his lower body but didn't lead his movement. With some interest, he looked as Fang Su suddenly froze but did not pull his palm away from the surprise, nor did he caress it. Fang Su was just stiffly holding on to it without moving. He looked nervous and obedient like this. The sight put him in a very good mood. Tang Jiaoyuan embraced him and leaned slightly. He slid his hand under the pillow to take out the bomb. Fang Su thought he was going to fall backward and hurriedly hooked his arms around Tang Jiaoyuan's neck. Tang Jiaoyuan laughed and held him tighter in his arm, then he coaxed him, "Don't be afraid." Afterwards, he opened the small box and the fingers with the cold cream went into the tight entrance on his behind. Fang Su let out a small moan. Although he couldn't see the light, he still remembered in his heart that it was still daytime. The maidservants were busy coming and going into the courtyard. There were a lot of people going about at this time. The more he thought about it, the more he got worried as he whispered Tang Jiaoyuan's name. Tang Jiaoyuan was gently stretching him behind with one of his hands, his other hand moved away from his waist and lifted up his face that was buried in his neck. He kissed him to comfort him. Even at this moment, Fang Su's heart couldn't completely settle down. He seemed to be afraid that the person beside him was not Tang Jiaoyuan. Every now and then, he would call out Tang Jiaoyuan's name with a slight tremor in his voice. Tang Jiaoyuan always answered patiently. After a long while, he finally withdrew his fingers, took off his pants and slowly pushed his vigorous hard object inside that warm body. The burning hot rod buried itself inch by inch as Fang Su slightly opened his lips and panted lightly. He was quite aroused. On the other hand, Tang Jiaoyuan had to hold himself back. He did not move after entering Fang Su's deepest place. He just tilted his head and bit Fang Su's ear as the hot and humid lips went down from his earlobes leaving burning marks everywhere, then suck on his nipple. Jiaoyuan, Fang Su wanted to urge him but couldn't say it out loud and could only called out his name. Tang Jiaoyuan waited for a while until the person in his arms started rubbing his body impatiently. He couldn't help laughing. He held Fang Su on the waist and slowly thrusted forward. A moan spilled from Fang Su's mouth. The last time he made love with Tang Jiaoyuan, he was completely ignorant and felt confused during the whole process, and could only rely on this person's lead. But it was different this time. He was consciously riding him and could clearly feel how deep Tang Jiaoyuan was inside himself. Each time he was purposely aiming for that most pleasurable spot, making it hard for Fang Su to control himself, making him want to take the initiative to meet his thrusts. The desire was strong, but Fang Su didn't dare to really respond like that. He was so shy that his cheeks were burning, his tears wetted the belt that was covering his eyes. Tang Jiaoyuan apologized as he slowed down and kissed the tip of his nose, coaxing, Su doesn't need to be afraid. These things done in bed was supposed to feel good. Fang Su shook his head when he heard this. He answered him in a very low voice, "There are people in the courtyard." Tang Jiaoyuan chuckled, only understanding now what he was worried about. He couldn't help but thrust it in strongly. He continued thrusting hard until the person in his arm had closed his lips to hide his moans. He smiled and said, "If they were this ignorant, then I'm afraid they wouldn't have stayed in this mansion long ago." Fang Su was still uneasy, his body was stiff and he couldn't relax. Tang Qiaoyuan had to stop teasing him and straightforwardly comforted him, "So can rest assured. The door is closed. No one will disturb us." Fang Su was half believing and half doubting. He remembered that when he was sitting in the room at that time, the courtyard was indeed quiet. He didn't hear anything from the beginning to the end. After finally regaining his senses, he guessed that after what happened this morning, Tang Qiaoyuan should have ordered them to retreat a long time ago, not allowing people to randomly come to the main courtyard to disturb them. Fang Su breathed a sigh of relief and his whole body relaxed. Tang Qiaoyuan noticed these subtle changes. His lips curled as he stroked Fang Su's back and started to ram vigorously from below again. The ambiguous slapping sound filled the bedroom. Fang Su's moaning started to gradually become more passionate as the pleasure he felt below his abdomen became more and more intense. He couldn't help himself from rubbing his legs in confusion. Tang Qiaoyuan knew that he was about to come, so he suddenly leaned over to press him down. Fang Su fell back down the bed and subconsciously wrapped his slender legs around his man's waist. The object inside his body started to thrust faster. After a long while, Fang Su bit his lips and let out a groan, taking both of them to climax. They laid intertwined on the soaked pillow while panting. After a while, Tang Qiaoyuan moved his waist again, and asked Fang Su for one more while he was still reeling from the aftermath. "Don't, want." Fang Su was unable to withstand it, but these two words really couldn't stop the other man's passion. Tang Qiaoyuan chuckled and kissed his lips. He slowly pulled out, then sank in again. When Fang Su started to get excited again, Tang Qiaoyuan untied the cloth on his eyes. Fang Su opened his watery eyes and looked at him hazily. At this moment Fang Su no longer cared whether it was day or night, he only thought that he could finally see him again, and stretched out his arms to hold Tang Qiaoyuan. "Good Su," Tang Qiaoyuan coaxed him with a smile, and leaned down to hold him tightly. The movements where they were connected didn't stop at all, neither did he want to. Tang Qiaoyuan wanted to keep being entangled with Fang Su in the warm bed. End chapter.